A mysterious zombie virus suddenly spreads across the world, wiping out cities and leaving only a handful of survivors behind. But there is one strange rule to this outbreak: it only infects adults, mostly people over 25. That twist changes everything, because it means teenagers are the ones left standing, including a high schooler named Josh. The world ends, and the kids remain. This is Daybreak. Josh says that after the collapse, he can live anywhere and do whatever he wants. Still, freedom does not mean safety, because the starving zombies are still out there, roaming and hunting. And just like you would expect, the teens who survive do not stay scattered for long. They start forming factions based on their own style and identity, then they claim territory like gangs in a video game. Josh, however, chooses to stay solo. He is on a personal mission. He is searching for his girlfriend, Sam, who was separated from him when the outbreak first hit the city. So Josh moves through one district after another, holding on to the hope that she is still alive. One day, he spots a girl who looks like Sam, hiding from a group of guys from the golf club faction. Josh has no real choice. If that is Sam, he cannot just walk away. He steps in and takes them on. The golf club guys even try to recruit him, saying they are short on members, but Josh turns them down. A fight breaks out. And even though he is outnumbered, Josh still manages to beat them, because surviving alone has made him tough. But when the girl finally comes out of hiding, the truth hits hard. It is not Sam. It is Angelica, a middle school troublemaker who used to mess with Josh back when life was normal. Josh is immediately annoyed and tries to leave her behind. He has bigger things to worry about than babysitting someone who has always been a problem. Before he can go, a mysterious figure blocks their path, dressed like a samurai. And it turns out this is not a stranger at all. It is Wesley, one of Josh's old classmates, a guy who used to bully him, and someone so obsessed with swords that he would actually bring a katana to school. Now Wesley claims he has changed. He says he is done doing cruel things and he is trying to make up for his past, hoping to become a true samurai in his own way. Josh is not interested. He is focused on Sam, and he wants to move on fast. But when Wesley hears who Josh is looking for, he drops something important. He says he heard information from another group, that Sam is living at the mall. The problem is, the mall is controlled by someone known as Baron, a leader with a terrifying reputation, rumored to kidnap people and turn them into food. Meanwhile, the golf club members cannot accept their defeat. Angry and humiliated, they decide to ask for help from Turbo, the ruthless leader of the athlete faction. Turbo's group controls a massive amount of territory and is feared for its brutality, which is exactly why other factions have also chosen to ally themselves with him. When Turbo receives the message from the golf club, he immediately orders his people to move out, not out of loyalty, but simply to cure his boredom. At the same time, Josh and the others return to Josh's hideout. Their plan is simple: grab supplies and food, then begin the long journey toward the mall. But before they can prepare, Turbo and his crew suddenly arrive. They have tracked Josh down, surrounding the entire area and cutting off every possible escape route. Realizing they are trapped, Josh and the others decide to fight back in a risky way. They throw balloons filled with blood packs at Turbo's group. The smell spreads fast and zombies begin flooding the area, creating chaos everywhere. While Turbo's people struggle to deal with the undead, Josh and the others use the confusion to make their escape. Turbo, however, does not give up. He orders his group to search the area piece by piece, determined to find Josh. While hiding inside a car, Josh unexpectedly runs into Turbo himself. With no other option, Josh runs in the opposite direction, deliberately drawing Turbo's attention away. Meanwhile, Angelica and Wesley head straight to the mall to confirm whether Sam is really there. As they attempt to break into the mall, a zombie suddenly approaches them. Just in time, Josh shows up and takes it down, sending the zombie fleeing. But that problem is quickly replaced by something far worse. The mall is controlled by Baron, a feared and violent leader who rules the entire area. There is no avoiding it now. They are forced to face him directly. Then comes a shocking reveal. When Baron removes his helmet, it turns out he is not Baron at all. The rider is Eli, one of Josh's former classmates. Back in school, Eli was known as a geek who loved buying knockoff items and was often mocked by others. Josh and the rest quickly realize that Eli has been impersonating Baron to protect himself from other factions. Their argument is cut short when the real Baron suddenly appears behind them. With no time to think, they rush into the mall and lock the doors. But in a sudden betrayal, Eli traps Josh and Angelica by locking them off in another section of the mall. He believes the mall belongs entirely to him now, and he refuses to share it with anyone. What Eli forgets is that Wesley is still standing behind him. Even though Wesley claims to have changed and follows a self-imposed samurai code, he cannot bring himself to attack someone weaker than himself. Instead, he tries to reason with Eli, calmly talking to him and hoping Eli will hand over the key used to lock Josh and Angelica inside. Inside the mall, Josh starts drifting back into old memories. He remembers the time he and Sam used to hang out here, recording vlogs and enjoying life before everything fell apart. Those memories are interrupted by chaos from the past, when Wesley's friend Hoyles, the rich kid from school, showed up and began bullying Josh all over again. Before things can escalate, they suddenly hear strange noises echoing through the mall. A zombie is hiding nearby. Josh and Angelica decide to capture the female zombie, hoping it might be Sam who has been infected. But once they get a closer look, they realize it is not Sam at all. It is their former teacher, Miss Crumble. Even though she has turned into a zombie, she somehow still retains her human awareness, allowing her to communicate like a normal person. Miss Crumble explains that she can get Josh and Angelica out because she has a spare key to the mall. The problem is that she accidentally swallowed it earlier. She opens her mouth wide, trying to find it, but when she cannot reach it herself, Josh has to step in and retrieve the key by hand. Josh panics at first, terrified that the zombie version of his teacher might bite him. Still, he forces himself to stay calm and manages to grab the key successfully. Just as they are about to open the gate, another zombie sneaks into the mall and attacks. Josh nearly gets bitten, but Eli and Wesley arrive in time to help. They warn that there is a bigger problem than one zombie. Baron has broken through all the traps Eli set up around the mall. Moments later, Baron storms inside, forcing Josh and the others into a direct confrontation. But unexpectedly, Ms. Crumble steps in and helps fight him. Her presence alone is enough to terrify Baron, sending him fleeing from the mall. Elsewhere, Turbo and his crew take out their frustration over failing to capture Josh by brutalizing the remaining members of the golf club. Refusing to accept defeat, Turbo calls in all allied factions, determined to unite them into one massive, unstoppable force. Soon, representatives from various groups arrive. There is the Kardashian faction, known for their flashy outfits, the cowboy faction who raise livestock and ride horses, and the STEM punks, a group of scientific geniuses obsessed with experiments. Each faction offers items as a tribute to Turbo's group. Strangely, the STEM punks bring nothing. This angers Turbo's right hand, Mona Lisa, who believes they are mocking them. But the truth is far worse. The STEM punks secretly assemble their weapons and suddenly open fire on Turbo, convinced that their intelligence makes them more worthy of leading everyone. Turbo is not surprised. He had anticipated betrayal and had already prepared a backup leader from the golf club. After seizing the STEM punks' weapons, Turbo regains control, and Mona Lisa immediately orders her people to capture every member of the STEM punks faction. That night, Turbo's group and their new allies throw a massive party to celebrate their alliance. On the surface, it looks like a victory. But deep down, Turbo still cannot let go of what Josh did to him. The humiliation keeps replaying in his mind. Meanwhile, Josh feels completely defeated. He believes he has failed to find Sam, and the thought of not knowing where else to search leaves him broken. As he drifts into his memories, he thinks about a time when Sam was always by his side, even back when he was just a quiet STEM punks kid who got bullied by Hoyles and others. While lost in his thoughts, Josh suddenly realizes something terrifying. During the earlier fight with Baron, Miss Crumble had accidentally bitten him. Panic sets in fast. Afraid of turning into a zombie, Josh decides the only solution is to cut off his own hand before the infection reaches his brain. But fear takes over. Instead of his whole hand, he ends up cutting off his index finger. At that exact moment, Angelica arrives and stops him from going any further. She explains that teenagers are immune to the zombie virus. That immunity is the reason they survived the apocalypse in the first place, even if they get bitten. Seeing how badly Josh is hurt, Angelica and Wesley ask Eli if he has any antibiotics to prevent infection in the wound. Eli does not have any. With Josh's condition getting worse, they realize they have no choice but to head to the nearest pharmacy. If the wound is not treated quickly, Josh's life could still be in danger. Angelica's past finally starts to make sense. She was once a gifted genius obsessed with chemistry, but her overly protective family forced her to stay home and study alone. Frustrated and lonely, she lashed out by becoming a troublemaker. Over time, she also became an expert liar, even manipulating doctors to get her hands on different medications. Using those chemicals, Angelica learned how to create edible slime. She sold it at Josh's school, not for money, but just to make connections and find someone who would accept her. With her knowledge, Angelica and Wesley set out together to find ingredients that could work as antibiotics. After a long search, they finally come across an abandoned pharmacy. What they do not realize is that someone has been watching their every move. Elsewhere, Turbo tries to calm his growing rage by surrounding himself with reminders of his past achievements. Before the zombie outbreak, he was a star athlete, especially in football. Those trophies are proof of who he used to be and who he believes he still is. Not long after, Mona Lisa orders everyone to prepare for a major event. She gives specific instructions to Johnny, the leader of the STEM Punks group. Turbo has already decided that Johnny will play a special role in what is about to happen next. After Angelica and Wesley finally secure the medicine they need, danger strikes again. Outside the pharmacy, a massive group of zombies has already surrounded them. Just as they prepare to fight, the zombies suddenly start dropping one by one. It becomes clear that someone else is taking them down. Sensing trouble, Angelica urges Wesley to run, worried that another faction might be moving in to steal their supplies. But they are too late. A group of striking women known as the Chermans steps in and blocks their path. The leader of the Chermans is Demi, a woman with a long history with both of them. Back before the outbreak, Angelica once harshly confronted Demi after being mocked, even though Angelica only wanted to be friends. Demi also holds a grudge against Wesley for his past ties to Turbo's group and intends to take revenge on him. Angelica quickly explains that they are in a rush and that Josh is in critical condition. After hearing this, Demi allows them to take the medicine, but only on one condition. Angelica must agree to join the Chermans. For Angelica, who has always been alone, this moment feels special. For the first time, someone truly wants her. Being invited into a group reminds her of a long-held dream to build something of her own and belong somewhere. Back at the mall, Miss Crumble suddenly feels an overwhelming hunger and starts thinking about eating Josh. With Josh weakened and unable to defend himself, the temptation is strong. But instead of harming him, she chooses another method. She gathers maggots from the trash and places Josh's injured finger into a bowl filled with them. The shock alone is enough to make Josh pass out in fear. As Turbo's big event begins, Mona Lisa orders Johnny to meet Turbo face-to-face. Johnny's instructed to pretend to be Turbo's father and deliver words of encouragement prepared in advance. Confused but obedient, Johnny follows along. When Turbo becomes angry that Johnny does not resemble his father, Johnny begins speaking from the heart. His words unexpectedly move Turbo, who breaks down and embraces him like a real parent. Once the moment ends, Turbo coldly gives the order for Johnny to be thrown from above, killing him without hesitation. Meanwhile, as Wesley heads back toward the mall, Angelica makes a major decision. She chooses not to join the Chermans and instead returns to Josh's side. Wesley cannot understand why Angelica would give up her dream so easily. What he does not realize is that Angelica has carried feelings for Josh for a long time, ever since he once said something that meant everything to her. She never confessed because Josh already had a girlfriend back then. Even though Angelica dreams of building a group together with Josh and Wesley, she knows Josh might leave at any time to continue searching for Sam. Afraid of being left behind once again, Angelica begins thinking about what she can do to make sure Josh does not walk away from her. When Josh finally wakes up, he sees a bowl filled with antibiotic slime that Angelica prepared earlier. He eats it while sitting near Miss Crumble, who calmly stays by his side. It turns out Miss Crumble never intended to hurt Josh at all. Everything she did was meant to help him. The maggots were used to eat away dead tissue, reducing the risk of infection in Josh's injured finger. After that, Miss Crumble reminds Josh that Angelica and Wesley were the ones who risked their lives to search for medicine. When Josh meets them again, he immediately notices that Angelica looks unusually quiet and heavy with emotion. That is when Angelica and Wesley reveal the truth. They found Sam's body. The news completely crushes Josh. He feels like he has lost the person he loved most, someone he never thought he would be lucky enough to have in his life. Elsewhere, Baron, who previously fled after encountering Miss Crumble, is filled with rage. Running away is not something he is used to, and his pride cannot accept it. Determined to regain control, he begins planning a counterattack. After losing Sam, Josh tries to find a way to calm his broken heart. He decides to follow Wesley's path and become a samurai, hoping discipline and purpose might ease his pain. But the reality hits hard. Josh is not skilled with a sword, and with only 4 fingers left, the challenge is even greater. As he reflects on what happened, Josh begins to suspect that Sam may have been attacked by Baron. Baron is known as a psychopath who hunts teenagers and uses them as food. Fueled by grief and anger, Josh makes up his mind. He will confront Baron and take revenge for Sam's death. Josh also starts to believe that the man behind Baron's mask might be Hoyles, the same bully who tormented him back in school. The clue comes from a familiar motorcycle, one that looks identical to the one Hoyles once brought to school. With his goal set, Josh prepares his weapons. He even replaces his missing finger with a mannequin finger so he can properly grip his sword. Wesley refuses to let Josh face this alone, so he joins him, determined to help bring Baron down. Unbeknownst to them, Turbo's followers are already watching their movements. Once Turbo learns that Josh has been spotted, he immediately orders his men to prepare to eliminate him. After a long journey, Josh and Wesley finally pick up Baron's trail. Before going any further, Wesley tries to warn Josh. His anger is burning too intensely, and that kind of rage can cloud judgment and lead to mistakes. Not wanting to lose his friend, Wesley attempts to trick Josh into running in another direction, hoping to cool things down. Along the way, they are chased by zombies and eventually run into members of the golf club who try to block their path. Soon after, Turbo's forces arrive at the scene. Josh and Wesley have no choice but to prepare for a fight against all of them. But before any battle begins, a mysterious doll suddenly appears. It turns out to be a trap set by Baron himself. Moments later, the device explodes. The blast sends Turbo's men running in panic. Josh, Turbo, and Wesley, who are too close to the explosion, all lose consciousness on the spot. Long before the zombie virus ever spread across the city, the school principal, Mr. Burr, once called Hoyles' parents in for a serious meeting. Hoyles had terrible grades and constantly broke school rules. But instead of addressing their son's behavior, Hoyles' wealthy parents, who owned a massive cereal factory, tried to solve the problem with money. They bribed Mr. Burr by sending expensive high-tech equipment to the school, disguising it as support for education. Faced with temptation, Mr. Burr accepted the offer. That decision only made things worse. With his parents buying his way out of trouble, Hoyles became even more reckless. He deliberately broke rules and crossed lines, fully believing that money could get him anything he wanted. Back in the present, Josh wakes up from unconsciousness and realizes that he, Wesley, and Turbo are being held inside a cereal factory. It does not take long for him to recognize the place. This factory once belonged to Hoyles' family. Inside, several other teenagers are being forced to work, their necks restrained so they cannot escape. Josh immediately looks for a way out. He secretly pulls out a lockpick hidden inside his mannequin finger and prepares to free himself. But when he notices that Baron is still nearby, he decides to wait. Only after Baron leaves the area on his motorcycle does Josh finally make his move. As Josh tries to unlock his restraints, he accidentally drops the lockpick. One of the workers notices it. Instead of raising an alarm, the woman quietly approaches Josh and helps him. She even shows him a possible escape route. Unfortunately, Josh cannot understand her, since she speaks a different language. Still, her actions make her intentions clear. While searching for keys to free the others, Josh sneaks into Baron's private room. There, he stumbles upon Hoyles tied up in a humiliating position. This discovery proves that Hoyles is not the man behind Baron's mask. Not long after, Baron returns to the factory. When he removes his gear, Josh is stunned by the truth. The person behind the mask is Mr. Burr himself. The real story finally comes together. Back when Hoyles was still a student, Mr. Burr accepted the bribe on purpose. He wanted Hoyles to believe he could act without consequences. Over time, Mr. Burr gathered solid evidence of Hoyles' crimes and eventually reported everything to the police. It was all part of a long, calculated trap. Even after turning into a zombie, Mr. Burr has somehow kept his intelligence and self-control. He channels his resentment toward delinquent students by hunting them down and eating them. Now he plans to cook Hoyles as punishment for everything he did in the past. Josh cannot allow that to happen. He steps in, fights back against Mr. Burr, and frees Hoyles from his restraints.
Hurry up, Wheeler! Hurry up! Hoyle's out! Asshole!
Enraged, Mr. Burr launches an attack on Josh, but Josh manages to fight back and escape deeper into the factory. Mr. Burr immediately begins hunting him down, fully aware that Josh is still somewhere inside. Eventually, Josh manages to corner Mr. Burr inside a room. It looks like he is about to finish him, yet none of Josh's attacks actually land. This turns out to be intentional. Josh is deliberately missing so he can get close enough to steal the key Mr. Burr is carrying. With that key in hand, Josh frees everyone trapped inside the factory, including the forced workers. Mr. Burr, on the other hand, ends up trapped inside the cereal production machine with no way out. After rescuing everyone, Josh leads them back to the mall. There they begin forming a much stronger and safer group together. What Josh does not realize is that Wesley secretly frees Turbo. Their history runs deep, and Turbo was once Wesley's closest friend. Inside the mall, the survivors slowly turn the place into a proper base, making it livable and secure. Josh and Wesley both help with the preparations, working alongside everyone else. During this time, Josh begins growing closer to a girl named Jean. They often spend time together, and Josh even starts learning Chinese so he can communicate with her, since she does not speak English. Meanwhile, Wesley continues meeting Turbo in secret at Hoyles' old cereal factory. Turbo's hatred for Josh never fades, and he asks Wesley to help eliminate him. This request throws Wesley into emotional turmoil, reopening an old pattern from his school days. Back then, during a football match, Wesley was once pressured by his cousin to lose on purpose because the cousin desperately needed the win. At the same time, Turbo, his best friend, demanded that Wesley win because Turbo could not stand losing. Wesley has always been trapped between loyalty and principle. Unbeknownst to him, Eli has been spying on Wesley the entire time using a remote-controlled car fitted with a camera. When Wesley discovers this, he confronts Eli and nearly forces him out of the mall, leaving him to be eaten by zombies. But that choice goes against Wesley's samurai code. He stops himself and allows Eli back inside. In that moment, Wesley realizes he must make a decision. He has to choose between helping Turbo or standing by Josh. Eli, already aware of Turbo's request, tries to influence Wesley. He pushes Wesley to side with Turbo, fueled by his own resentment toward Josh for bringing more people into what Eli believes is his mall. After a long struggle, Wesley finally makes his choice. He decides to side with Turbo, choosing an old friendship over Josh, who he convinces himself is no one important to him at all. To celebrate their victory over Baron, everyone plans a big party. They even prepare a crown for Josh, honoring him as the one who saved them all. But behind the scenes, something dark is happening. Wesley secretly poisons the crown, knowing that if Josh wears it, the poison will kill him instantly. At the same time, Wesley invites Turbo to the celebration, believing this will prove that he has finally defeated Josh. Unaware of Wesley's inner conflict, Mona Lisa learns about the invitation and takes advantage of it. She begins pushing Turbo toward a more extreme solution, convincing him that the safest move is to wipe out Josh's entire group, so no one will ever challenge their power again. As the party begins, Wesley is suddenly overwhelmed with fear. The weight of his actions finally hits him. He realizes that what he is about to do goes against everything he has tried to atone for. If he does not stop now, all his efforts to change will mean nothing. Meanwhile, inside Turbo's base, Turbo and his followers prepare for a full-scale attack on the mall. Without hesitation, they move out, forcing their way through the surrounding zombies and heading straight toward their target. At the same time, Wesley tries to stop the celebration and warn everyone that Turbo and his people are coming. But they are already too late. Turbo has entered the mall and immediately cuts the power, plunging the place into darkness. Turbo's group attacks anything they can reach. When the lights finally come back on, they realize they have been fighting nothing but mannequins. Josh and the others set this trap moments before Turbo arrived, successfully fooling him. With Turbo distracted, Josh's group surrounds the invaders. A massive battle breaks out between the two sides. The fight is so intense that it is never fully shown, instead being exaggerated through Turbo's own dramatic retelling using his toys. In the end, Josh's group manages to drive Turbo away, leaving him wounded by an arrow lodged in his back. Still, the victory comes at a cost. Turbo manages to capture several members of Josh's group and take them as prisoners. After the battle, Josh has no choice but to imprison Wesley and Eli for their betrayal. Even so, he cannot bring himself to punish them further. For now, he locks them away, hoping they will reflect on their actions. Jean quickly realizes that Turbo will not stop here. Knowing he is injured makes this the perfect moment to strike back. Sitting still is no longer an option. They divide their tasks. Angelica and Miss Crumble head to Hoyles' factory to confirm whether Mr. Burr is still there. Meanwhile, Josh and Jean prepare a stealth mission against Turbo. Using Jean's skills as a thief, they easily collect food from vending machines. That food becomes their bribe, allowing them to quietly pay off Turbo's guards and slip into his territory without being noticed. After a long journey, they finally reach a strange location where a mysterious group is hiding inside shipping containers. This turns out to be Gamer Nation, a faction led by Jaden, a professional gamer. Known for their sharp thinking and tactical skills, this group immediately catches Jean's attention. She hopes Jaden can help design a quiet and precise plan to take down Turbo. At first, Jaden refuses. The mission feels far too dangerous, and risking the entire group does not seem worth it. But Jean reminds her of an old debt. In the past, Jean once saved Jaden from a zombie attack. That favor still matters. In the end, Jaden agrees to help. Knowing how powerful Turbo's group is, Jaden realizes they cannot rush in blindly. She reaches out to one of Turbo's members, who is also a gamer, hoping to gain inside help. With that connection, the plan starts to take shape. Once everything is ready, Jaden and her team prepare for a night assault, moving silently like assassins. Meanwhile, Turbo begins to sense trouble. He becomes convinced that there is an imposter hiding within his ranks. He gathers everyone together and demands that all suspicious activity be reported. If the traitor cannot be found, punishment will fall on everyone until the imposter is exposed. Turbo and Mona Lisa begin interrogating their people one by one. The problem is that lies spread easily. Anyone could be deceiving them, or worse, framing someone else. Tension inside the group continues to rise. At the same time, Angelica and Miss Crumble arrive at Hoyles' cereal factory. There, they find Mr. Burr trapped inside a cage. But the moment Miss Crumble sees him, her behavior suddenly changes. She grows uneasy and urges Angelica to leave immediately. Before they can escape, Miss Crumble suddenly loses control and fully turns into a zombie. She lunges toward Angelica, forcing her to run. Angelica barely manages to escape and ends up locked inside a restroom. While hiding there, Angelica realizes what triggered the attack. She is on her period, and the smell of blood is overwhelming Ms. Crumble's remaining control. As a zombie, Ms. Crumble can no longer resist that instinct. Mr. Burr notices that Angelica is trapped and tries to take advantage of the situation. He offers to help her escape if she agrees to free him from his cage, but Angelica sees through the manipulation. Knowing Mr. Burr only wants to use her, she refuses. As Angelica attempts to leave the restroom, she notices something disturbing. Ms. Crumble is in visible pain. Something is forming on her back, a sign that the zombie infection is evolving into something far more dangerous. Elsewhere, Turbo and Mona Lisa are running out of patience. They still cannot identify the imposter within their group, and the tension starts tearing everyone apart. Members begin accusing one another, suspicion spreading fast. With no one willing to confess, a simple and kind-hearted man named Owen suddenly steps forward and claims that he is the imposter. But Mona Lisa and the rest of Turbo's people immediately doubt him. They know Owen well. He is just a good-natured guy who handles supplies and logistics. He was not even involved in the attack on the mall. Because of that, no one wants to see him punished without real proof, and the situation grows even more chaotic. Deep down, Turbo realizes something about himself. He never wanted to hurt his own people. More than anything, he wants to be a father figure to those who lost their families during the zombie outbreak. That desire comes from his own past. Before the virus ever spread, Turbo's father was a kind man who often brought him gifts whenever he came home. Sadly, his father was also an extremely busy businessman, rarely around and often gone for weeks or even months at a time. As Turbo and his group struggle to regain control, the power suddenly goes out. At the same moment, inside a nearby container, Josh and Jean are watching surveillance footage. The recording shows Jaden and her team actively sneaking into Turbo's base. At first, the infiltration goes smoothly. They enter without being noticed, but one by one, Turbo's men begin capturing them. Eventually, only Jaden remains free, pushing forward toward the room where Turbo is located. The moment Jaden enters that room, Turbo is already waiting. He captures her immediately and records a message meant for Josh, declaring that Josh has finally lost. Jaden and the remaining gamers are then interrogated by Mona Lisa. She wants to know who helped them get inside, because breaking into Turbo's heavily secured base should have been impossible. Under pressure, Jaden finally reveals the truth. She admits that they received help from a player using the nickname Demon Slayer. The description points directly to Gary, a member of the golf club. To set an example and warn everyone against betrayal, Turbo delivers a harsh punishment to Gary. What no one realizes is that Turbo planned everything from the start. His injury, allowing the gamers to infiltrate his base, and turning Gary into a scapegoat were all part of a larger scheme. Every move was calculated, all for one purpose, to finally defeat Josh. On the other side of the chaos, Josh feels completely lost. He has already lost the woman he loved, been betrayed by someone he trusted who tried to take his life, and failed to defeat Turbo. All of it piles up, leaving him feeling helpless and broken, like there is nothing left he can do. Seeing him fall apart, Jean tries to lift his spirits. To her, Josh is a hero, the one who saved her from Baron. Over time, it becomes clear that Jean has feelings for him, and eventually Josh allows himself to move forward and start a relationship with her. Just before they leave, Josh watches a recording captured by Jaden shortly before she was taken by Turbo. Without realizing it at first, the footage reveals something shocking. Sam is still alive, and she is now inside Turbo's group. The moment Josh understands this, everything changes. He confronts the lies told by Wesley and Angelica, who had faked Sam's death. Hurt and furious, Josh kicks them out of the mall, along with Eli, who had previously plotted strange and dangerous plans against him. That decision pushes everyone onto different paths. Angelica, filled with anger and disappointment, chooses to leave and officially join the Chermans. Wesley decides to wander alone, hoping to atone for his past mistakes. Eli, with nowhere else to go, keeps trying to sneak back into the mall whenever Josh is not looking. But Josh always catches him and forces him out. From that moment on, Josh becomes obsessed with rescuing Sam. That obsession slowly poisons his relationship with Jean. She realizes she was never more than a temporary comfort during Josh's loneliness, and jealousy and resentment begin to grow between them. With no allies left and no one willing to help, Josh decides to rescue Sam on his own. He even names his sword after her, treating it as his promise to bring her back. As Josh prepares to leave, the mall alarm suddenly blares. He immediately assumes Eli is behind it again. Josh heads up to investigate, only to discover the alarm was not triggered by Eli. Instead, it was set off by a beautiful young woman named Marvis, Eli's mysterious girlfriend he had mentioned before. Marvis, an artist, shares her view of the world with Josh. She believes that everyone who survived the outbreak is like branches of the same tree. Each group follows its own path, but at the core, everyone is driven by the same goal: surviving in a world overrun by zombies. Hearing this makes Josh finally confront the truth he has been avoiding. Before the virus ever spread and destroyed the city, he and Sam had already broken up. That realization forces him to accept that Sam is no longer his girlfriend, even if she is still alive. Meanwhile, inside Turbo's faction, Mona Lisa begins to lose her faith in him. She has always been loyal, but seeing Turbo sacrifice one of his own people just to defeat Josh crosses a line. What makes it worse is that Turbo carried out the plan in secret, without telling anyone, not even Mona Lisa, his most trusted right hand. To Mona Lisa and others close to her, it becomes clear that Turbo is no longer thinking clearly. His obsession with Josh is pushing the entire group toward destruction. If nothing changes, everything they built will collapse. Believing this situation needs to be handled carefully, Mona Lisa turns to Sam, once known as the smartest student at school, and places her trust in her judgment. Elsewhere, Miss Crumble goes looking for Angelica. When Josh tells her that Angelica has joined the Chermans, Miss Crumble is deeply saddened. Angelica has always been the one who cared for her, and losing that connection hurts more than she expected. Unable to stay behind, Miss Crumble leaves the mall and begins searching for Angelica. After a long journey, she notices something strange about the Chermans' posters. Hidden within them is a puzzle, and by following it, she's able to locate the Chermans' base. At the entrance, several Chermans stop her and demand proof of identity. When Ms. Crumble reveals a diamond necklace, their attitude immediately changes. She is welcomed inside, and Demi personally greets everyone who arrives at the base. However, joining the Chermans is not simple. Every candidate must first pass 3 trials. The first test focuses on self-control. Demi believes women must manage their appetite to maintain strength and balance. A wide variety of delicious food and drinks is laid out, but almost everything has been mixed with poison. The task is to identify the single item that is safe to consume. Some participants choose food they believe is healthy, but those choices quickly backfire, causing immediate sickness. It is during this trial that Angelica realizes Ms. Crumble is also taking part. After carefully observing the options, Ms. Crumble advises Angelica to choose plain water. In her view, water is the only thing that cannot be poisoned. That simple choice allows both of them to pass the first test. To Demi, this proves true wisdom. In a world overrun by zombies, water is the most valuable resource of all. Humans can survive for weeks without food, but without water, they only have a few days left. The second trial is even more dangerous. All participants must survive an attack from specially prepared Santa-themed zombies. As soon as the test begins, the group is thrown straight into combat, fighting to stay alive. During the chaos, Ms. Crumble suddenly loses control and reveals her signature wide mouth attack. That single moment exposes the truth. Demi realizes that Ms. Crumble is actually an adult who has already been infected by the zombie virus. Demi immediately puts the decision to a vote. The group must choose whether Ms. Crumble should be allowed to live or be eliminated. When it is Angelica's turn, she refuses to play along. Instead of voting, she openly defies Demi and chooses to leave, unwilling to abandon Ms. Crumble. That unexpected choice turns out to be the real test. Without realizing it, Angelica passes the third trial, which Demi had been conducting quietly all along. This final test is about mindset. Demi is looking for someone who can think beyond limited options and create a new path when none seem available, exactly what Angelica just did. In the end, Angelica is officially accepted as a member of the Chermans. Still, she cannot bring herself to leave Miss Crumble behind. After everything they have been through together, Angelica chooses to stay by her side as they continue surviving the zombie apocalypse together. Elsewhere, Mona Lisa and a former golf club member named Barry approach Mr. Burr with a bold proposal. They want him to replace Turbo as the leader. But there is one condition. Mr. Burr must promise to stop eating people. Wanting to restore a sense of normal life like the days before the outbreak, Mr. Burr agrees. Not long after, inside the school, Turbo hears Mr. Burr's voice and heads straight to the principal's office. What he does not expect is a sudden confrontation. Disguised in Baron's gear, Mr. Burr clashes with Turbo and ultimately defeats him. From that moment on, Mr. Burr takes control of Turbo's former group. He makes his rules clear. Anyone who breaks school rules will face the same fate as Turbo, being expelled from both the group and the school itself. Mr. Burr then begins trying to rebuild the school into something resembling its old structure before the zombie outbreak. Admitting that he does not fully understand how the students survived the apocalypse, he asks Sam and the others for help. Watching all of this from afar is Wesley. He has been quietly observing the school the entire time. When he sees Turbo being cast out, Wesley steps in to save him. Despite their past conflicts, Wesley cannot bring himself to abandon his old friend. Meanwhile, as Josh prepares to rescue Sam, memories from the past resurface. He recalls the moment they broke up and the harsh words he said without knowing the full truth. That regret weighs heavily on him, filling him with guilt over how deeply he hurt Sam when she had done nothing wrong. The day before the zombie virus spread across the city, Josh and Sam decided to skip school. They spent the day together, enjoying their freedom and doing whatever they wanted, unaware that everything was about to change. When they arrived at Josh's house, there was a message from his mother. She was out of town and had left instructions for Josh to call his father. She even tried calling and sending messages herself, urging him to make that call as soon as possible. But Josh was too caught up with his girlfriend. He ignored every message from his mother, choosing instead to focus on having fun. Then, by pure chance, he finally checked his phone. That was when the shock hit. His father had passed away earlier that same day. The regret hit Josh all at once. He realized that he had ignored his mother's warnings and chosen a moment of happiness instead. If he had listened, he could have seen his father one last time while he was still alive and in critical condition. Overwhelmed by grief and anger, Josh lashed out at Sam. He blamed her and said cruel things that deeply hurt her. After they broke up, Sam decided to change herself completely, determined to become the school queen, just as Josh had once mockingly suggested. Later, alone in a quiet room, Josh drifted into memories of his childhood. He remembered going into the forest with his father, learning how to hunt and survive. Those moments were filled with warmth and guidance, lessons that taught him how to stay alive in the wild. Those memories explain why Josh managed to survive after the zombie outbreak destroyed the world. But while he was lost in thought, Eli suddenly appeared. That place turned out to be Eli's hiding spot. Ever since Josh kicked him out of the mall, Eli had been waiting for a chance to reclaim it. If Josh left, Eli would return and potentially hurt Jean and the other teens. Josh knew he had to find a way to keep Eli under control. Josh comes up with a deal. He promises to bring Eli his Yu-Gi-Oh cards from school. Eli immediately shows interest. Ever since childhood, he had loved collecting those cards, even though his mother constantly scolded him for it, forcing him to hide the collection in his school locker. Josh also asks for a costume similar to Baron's so he can sneak into the school. But Eli refuses to let Josh know where his locker key is hidden. Instead, Eli decides to come along. He plans to disguise himself as Baron and pretend to deliver Josh to Turbo. With Eli joining the mission, Josh no longer has to worry about Jean and the others at the mall, so he agrees to the plan. Before leaving, John encourages Josh, knowing deep down that he is not a bad person. Without wasting any time, Josh and Eli head toward the school on Eli's motorcycle. Along the way, they casually talk about Yu-Gi-Oh cards, reminiscing about how Josh used to collect them as well. From that moment on, Eli slowly begins to trust Josh. He even starts seeing Josh like a childhood friend. But just as they are about to carry out their mission, everything goes wrong. Hoyle suddenly attacks Eli, mistaking him for Baron. The assault is brutal, and Eli is left badly injured. Even though Eli has always been strange and annoying, Josh cannot abandon him. He knows Eli is not a bad person. Eli once saved Josh from a zombie attack during the chaos at the mall, and that memory matters now more than ever. Sadly, Eli does not survive his injuries. After saying his final goodbye, he passes away. The loss hits Josh hard. It feels like losing a true friend. Elsewhere, Wesley realizes that Turbo is critically wounded and calls for help. Angelica arrives with several members of the Chermans, including Miss Crumble, who is skilled at treating injuries. In that moment, Wesley admits how much he misses the old group, the one that once included Angelica, Miss Crumble, Josh, and Eli. But Angelica cannot stay. She now belongs to the Chermans, and her path has changed. Back at the school, Mr. Burr explains to Sam that after investigating why some people survived the outbreak, he discovered the reason. Before the virus spread, he had secretly organized immunizations for all the students at the school. Those vaccines turned out to be effective only on teenagers, whose bodies adapted more easily than adults. Believing this was the key, Mr. Burr decides to create a new vaccine that could allow humans to fully fight the zombie virus. At first, Sam does not suspect anything. She even helps distribute slime food mixed with the vaccine to other students. Then something horrifying happens. One by one, the students who eat the slime begin to collapse. Alarmed, Sam tries to find out what Mr. Burr is really doing. When she enters his room, she discovers the truth. Mr. Burr has already eaten several of Barry's organs, and he has gathered a group of followers who are completely loyal to him. It becomes clear that he is planning something far darker, something that goes against the original purpose of Turbo's group. Meanwhile, after Eli's death, Josh takes Eli's Baron costume and heads straight for the school. He refuses to let Eli's sacrifice be meaningless. But when Josh arrives, the school is eerily empty. He searches room by room until he finally finds Sam, who is trying to escape. Just as Josh moves toward her, the school suddenly explodes. 36 minutes before the explosion, Mr. Burr successfully manipulates his followers by promising to take them to a place far better than the ruined city they live in now. To make that promise real, he needs Angelica, the one person smart enough to help him. He orders one of his men to detonate a missile positioned near the Chermans' base. After several failed attempts, the missile finally explodes. In the chaos, Angelica is knocked unconscious and taken away to Hoyles' cereal factory, which Mr. Burr has turned into his new main headquarters. He destroyed his previous base, the school, without hesitation. Once there, Mr. Burr forces Angelica to activate a nuclear warhead that had failed to detonate and is now lodged in front of the factory. He makes his threat clear. If Angelica refuses, Miss Crumble will be hurt. With no other choice, Angelica complies, even though she has no idea what Mr. Burr truly plans to achieve with a nuclear explosion. It soon becomes clear that Mr. Burr intends to wipe out every remaining teenager in the city. He is tired of what he sees as their reckless behavior and wants to end it all. He then reveals something disturbing to Miss Crumble. For decades, Mr. Burr has lived alone, and all this time, he has harbored feelings for her. After finishing his revenge on the teenagers, he plans to take Miss Crumble away and build a new life together as half-human, half-zombie beings. Meanwhile, shortly after the missile explodes near the school, Josh and Sam survive the blast. However, the explosion is so powerful that it damages their hearing. Despite that, Josh manages to bring Sam back to the mall. There, Josh warns everyone that Mr. Burr plans to destroy the entire city. Jean immediately urges the group to leave while they still can, but Sam refuses. She believes they must stop Mr. Burr right now before it is too late. Unexpectedly, most of the group sides with Jean and chooses to evacuate, including Josh. This deeply upsets Sam. After their breakup, Josh has already moved on with someone else, and now he is choosing to run instead of fight. Hearing Sam's frustration forces Josh to confront the truth. From the very beginning, his reason for surviving in this zombie-filled world was always Sam. Now that he has finally found her, he cannot abandon her again. Josh turns back to Sam. He reflects on the past and realizes how unfair he was. When he broke up with her, Sam had no idea that his father had just died. Josh regrets the harsh words he said and feels the weight of that mistake. Seeing how hard Josh fought just to find her, Sam finally accepts his apology. Together, they begin forming a plan to stop Mr. Burr, but they quickly realize they cannot face Mr. Burr and his followers alone. Their first thought is Angelica. However, Angelica has already been kidnapped. With no other option left, Josh and Sam turn to the Chermans for help. After hearing everything, the Chermans agree to stand with them and join the fight against Mr. Burr. Meanwhile, as Turbo begins to recover from his injuries, he asks Wesley to face him in a duel. It is meant to settle everything left unresolved between them. Turbo chooses a weapon he prepared earlier, determined to end this properly. After setting the timing, they prepare to test who is faster. But when the moment arrives, Turbo unexpectedly allows Wesley to win. Only then does the truth come out. The weapon was never real in the first place. Not long after, Josh arrives and finds them together. Seeing everything clearly, Josh finally forgives Wesley. Even more surprisingly, Josh and Turbo also reconcile. With that, it becomes clear that both Turbo and Wesley are ready to stand beside Josh in the fight against Mr. Burr. As they discuss who should lead the group, Gene and the others suddenly return to the mall. They announce that they are staying and that they will help Josh defeat Mr. Burr. In the end, everyone agrees that Josh is the right choice to lead them. He has earned it. Josh then comes up with an unexpected plan. He tells everyone to get into cars and blast music as loud as possible. Sam is confused at first since this looks more like a parade than a battle. But Josh has a different idea in mind. While Mr. Burr is gathering his followers, the sound of blaring music echoes across the area. When he notices Josh's vehicle, he immediately orders his men to attack it. What Mr. Burr does not realize is that the chaos is intentional. Josh is using the noise to attract zombies from all over the city. The undead swarm toward the sound and crash into Mr. Burr's forces, turning the area into total chaos and sparking an intense battle. As Mr. Burr's followers struggle against hundreds of zombies, Josh and the others rush toward Angelica to rescue her. But Angelica cannot leave yet. She must first shut down the nuclear system before it can be activated. While Angelica works to stop the nuclear threat, Josh and Sam move to rescue Miss Crumble, who is still trapped inside the factory. Suddenly, Mr. Burr appears and attacks them. In that moment, Sam tells Josh to go find Miss Crumble, while she stays behind to hold Mr. Burr off. Armed with whatever weapons she can find, Sam fights with everything she has. But Mr. Burr, now a powerful half-zombie, is far stronger than any normal human. Despite her efforts, he slowly overwhelms her and forces her into a corner. Just as Mr. Burr is about to finish Sam, Josh arrives at the last possible moment and attacks him from behind. The strike barely slows Mr. Burr down since he is now a powerful half-zombie. But Josh's move is not ordinary. He coated his sword with peanut butter, knowing something important. Mr. Burr has a severe peanut allergy. As the substance enters his system, the reaction slowly begins to take hold. Because Mr. Burr's body has already been altered by the zombie virus, the allergic reaction becomes far more intense than normal. After struggling to endure it, Mr. Burr finally collapses and dies. Outside the room, Mr. Burr's followers manage to defeat the zombies Josh had drawn in earlier. But with their leader gone, everything changes. Sam urges them to stop fighting and make peace. The nuclear threat is still active, and if it is not stopped immediately, everyone will die. With help from Miss Crumble, Angelica succeeds in redirecting the missile so it launches into outer space. However, there is one final problem. Someone has to stay behind and press the launch button. Ms. Crumble steps forward and chooses to sacrifice herself. She wants to act like a true adult, protecting her students no matter the cost. After saying her goodbye, she presses the launch button. The rocket shoots into the sky and explodes far above the city. Angelica is devastated. She has come to see Ms. Crumble as a parent figure. But against all odds, Ms. Crumble survives the blast, emerging alive from the fire. Relief and happiness spread through the survivors. Josh and Sam share a quiet moment after everything they have endured. Josh asks Sam to stay with him at the mall. But the world they live in has changed her. Since their breakup, Sam has chosen a different path. Now she invites anyone who believes in her vision to follow her and help build a kingdom of her own. So the moral of the story is, if the apocalypse ever hits, do not panic by weapons, panic by peanut butter, because the real final boss might just be one allergy away from getting deleted.